Hey everybody, welcome to the UFC 249 post-ish special. We're going to talk about events leading up to the UFC 249 card, which happened last night. We'll talk a little bit about kind of like a general sense of how things felt, the atmosphere, some of the perceived safety precautions. We'll definitely talk about the fights, most of them. We'll see. And then we'll definitely talk about some of the reactions and some of the stuff said, concerning fighters signing media reports and media reports suggesting that, contracts had certain waivers and clauses in them and purses could be pulled for media and staff. It was a lot. So, and fighters. So we'll kind of talk about that. This is my second time recording this because my camera has just been kind of, maybe it's just me. I don't understand cameras, I guess, good enough. Well enough. So, anyways, UFC 249 happened last night. Going into the week, the discussion was that this is going to be, this is one of the best cards ever put together. This is definitely up there. I don't know about all time. I don't like to say that because there's a lot of cards to look through to be like saying something like that. But it's definitely one of the best cards I've ever seen. Like, hands down, that was sensational from the beginning to end. Even prelims were cracking, really. Amazing card. I definitely got some picks wrong, and I don't even remember all my picks. I think next time when I do this, I'm gonna outline the things I said about the picks, and then we'll go over to see how correct I am. So, anyways, I guess initial impressions was that it was kind of awkward. I guess some people liked the whole quiet. The whole quiet arena, no fans. I didn't. I think crowd reaction is very important. I enjoy the screaming. The thing I don't enjoy is like the woo, the Ric Flair joint. Get that out of here. Any like nationalistic chants like USA, Você vai morrer, like Brazilians do. I'm Brazilian. Hate that joint. Get that out of here. I just like the cheering, the oohs, the ahs. That's fun. Like, cause it's like you feel that, cause you do the same thing at home. So, I enjoy it, and also like the chants aren't creative. Like, at least in other sports, they like have whole like mantras. Like, yeah, like Você vai morrer is like corny, but it's like something Brazilians do. Like what does America really do? I guess just like USA, like at least in soccer, like they have like whole damn songs. That'd be cool if you went to like certain areas. Like example, when they fight in Liverpool, they do the whole "You Will Not Walk Alone" and they do the "Sweet Caroline" actually when they fought in Liverpool. Like they sing "Sweet Caroline," so that's something. Let's just get creative out here if we're gonna be, chanting as large crowds, I guess, in 2022, whenever the hell we can convene as people again. But anyways, it was kind of awkward. Like there was no crowd reactions, and I think something I felt like was not talked about enough because there was a lot of big talking points. People always complain about judges and how judges are influenced by the crowd. I was very interested to see how the judging was going to be without crowd reactions. I mean, there's nobody going ooh ah, so it's like like what is a judge really listening for? Are they going to be swayed because popular opinions like? Remember there was people that were there were certain commissions that were putting judges in isolated rooms and testing out, seeing like these judges' scorecards didn't count, but they were just seeing how those judges in other rooms scores were different compared to judges that were judging cage side, and seeing like if there's a difference between that. I thought that was a very interesting thing they did back a while back, and actually it might have been pretty recent actually. I don't remember exactly, but yeah, I want to see how that went, and it's okay. Judging was bad per usual. Because what did we learn? It's not even. I'm not gonna say that humans aren't. I'm not gonna say that crowd wasn't a factor. A crowd. I think the crowd is a factor, but just being human beings in general, where I have a lot of judges that are not educated in the sport, just a lot of things, judgment, because even if you have refs that have done it a long time, like a John McCarthy or Bean, they're amazing, but they mess up too. Just humans mess up. Humans see different things. Three people, you have juries that watch, listen to entire testimonies and watch video footage of crimes, and you have everybody that has a differentiated opinion. There's a lot going on. I'm not gonna get into it, but everybody just seems to see things differently because that's how they want to see it. It's not everybody can be extremely selfless. Not everybody can be super vulnerable and open to being wrong. So I think people are just, believe what they see, whatever they want to see. So, and that definitely falls in line with judging. So I think a lot of judging was pretty bad, considering there wasn't a ton of decisions tonight. Let me look here. Those. Okay, I guess the prelims had two decisions. Yeah, yeah. There was a lot of. The main event only had one decision, so I just felt like there wasn't a ton of it wasn't a big decision night. Like there might have been 60-40 on finishes versus decisions, and I thought they could have done a better job. Especially it wasn't necessarily all three judges, but there'd be one or two judges that just give numbers. And you're like, what? And I think the issue with MMA is that everybody kind of understands that that's bad, but what are the steps being taken towards making change? What's the UFC is a big promoter in Dana White. Things I'll say compared to others people want to consider MMA, UFC a major sport. Something like the UFC, the NBA does is you have a commissioner that every year kind of tries to address issues in the past, and they have meetings and discussions about making changes. We can say we want about Roger Goodell. He does things to make changes, and he addresses them, and sometimes he doesn't. But I feel like they do more. In the UFC, it's I feel like there's stuff they do once in a while, but a lot of it is just Dana White being a promoter. So he's a hype man, and he wants to be hype man. He wants to shit talk. That's all he does. Not really the professional aspect, because he gets so angry and fired up when someone asks him a critical question that it never becomes a discussion point. It just becomes an attack. Hey, is this true? This happened? Bah! It's a little weasel crap. Hey man, we can have a discussion about this like adults. So it's kind of childish, kind of dictator-ish a little bit. But yeah, I just think that there needs to be a lot being done if we are such a big fan of, having federal oversight over these things, having commissions that are ran by the government, and, commissions are government-based operations, and that's taxpayer money. So I think that there should be, a lot of effort going forward into making sure things are being run properly and up to speed. In a place like Florida, everybody's super happy to fight in Florida because Florida has fights, but let's keep it real. It's one of the worst commissions in America. They're not popping, it's not nice. It's not a Nevada. It's not a California. So kind of just doing what they want out here. And I think everybody just got caught up in being happy to start, but we kind of forgot that this is Florida. So let's not forget that it might be rough the next couple cards, which is there's a fight last night. There's going to be a fight Wednesday night and a fight Saturday night. So those other two ones will be on ESPN, ESPN Plus. This one was only a pay-per-view one. Yeah, so let's get into it. I'll start off with the prelim. I'm not going to talk about Ryan Spann versus Sam Alvey. Oh, no. Before I start that, I thought that some of the people, it was kind of goofy the way they were setting up the health, the whole social distancing, 6 feet protection. Some people wearing masks and some not. Some wearing gloves, some not. I don't know if the protocol was it's up to you, and we'll kind of get into that, but it just looks stupid. At least commit or don't commit. You know what I mean? You have doctors and stuff not wearing that kind of stuff, but then you have Dana White in a suit chilling, Joe Rogan not covered, the commentators wearing no coverings, but cornermen had to wear coverings and masks. I kind of didn't understand what's going on. If everybody's getting tested, he said over some stupid number of tests were administered. 3,000 or something like that, I think the number was. It's what are we really doing out here? So I thought a lot of it was kind of goofy, but what can you do? I mean, you can't. They got it going. The commission allowed it. The government signed off on it. We just either want to watch or we don't. So I just thought that when they had this commentators sitting 6 feet apart in different areas, but had little cameras on them, but then Joe Rogan would walk off the table than interview the fighters in octagon and like embrace them, handshake them, like all this close encounters. It's like, what are we really doing? Like, why do you have the commentators separate? Then it looks stupid. Just put them together. I mean, you're already so proud that you tested everybody and everybody came back negative except for a fighter and 2 cornermen. So it's like, why even have them separate? It just looked kind of like goofy. So if they want to keep talking about, yeah, any other commissions and stuff want to look at us and use this example, yeah, they're definitely using you guys as a guinea pig. And probably looking at some stuff like, what the hell are they doing over there? We're going to do it the right way. That's how I see it. But UFC's out there, doing their thing. And, yeah, it just went down regardless of face masks or not. Also leading up to this week, it's important to note that Jacare Souza was tested positive coronavirus. Now, people were criticizing him in social media because MMA fans are some of the worst people to read comment sections through of any sport. It's literally horrific. I can't. It's infuriating, horrific, very, very. I'm not gonna get into it, but it's rough to look at. It's rough to look through. They were criticizing him, something like that, saying like, "Oh, he should have. He knew what he was doing. Like, hey man, I don't know what circumstances like a lot of these fans or people commentating are in that they can just sit on their high horse and talk shit about people's lives, but this dude's career is like based on like punching someone in the face, and it's check by check. It's not monthly stipend or healthcare insurance. He's an independent contractor. If there's an opportunity for you to make money, and also there was a report a couple weeks ago saying that he didn't even want to fight, but he had a mortgage on a house and a family to take care of. If that's like his situation, and he thinks that family members have coronavirus, what do you expect him to do? Stay home and not make money and lose his home and family and food and then go into debt and bankruptcy? Or take that chance, make money, and then be able to survive to see another day? I don't understand. Like, you guys, and a lot of people enjoy the sport in terms of it being like kind of like a last man standing, survival of the fittest, but then a man goes and makes his decision to survive, and you want to criticize him. I think it's all really corny. That was whack. I hope that Jacare is he, like I said, he didn't feel any symptoms all week. He got tested, but also he was like the only fighter actually taking proper procedures. Like, he had the mask during the face off. Some of the fighters were in each other's face. They're super far apart. He had gloves on. Dana White was touching everybody because Dana White doesn't care. I'm not gonna say it on here, but yeah. He was doing what he wanted, and Jacare was pulled from the card. He was asked some interesting questions by a reporter later, asked Dana White if he was going to be compensated. Dana White said yes. Hopefully it's more than $10,000, or the hell $20,000 Dana White was given, Lord, to these fighters. Hope he gets compensated for everything. There was like some reporter that was saying like, hey, like, was it irresponsible for Jacare to be around a bunch of people earlier knowing that he had family members that might have had coronavirus? That was kind of rough to like attack this. Like, I think the last thing we can do in this situation is attack the fighters, because they're not the ones setting up the event. They're not the ones setting up the encounter, the meetings, the area. So a lot of these people are so happy to pick a side in between Florida opening, beaches, and everything that's going on. At the same time, like, I don't think it's incumbent to attack the fighters for them who've been practicing social distancing and all this stuff and quarantining and know what's going on in their lives, and him knowing that family members might have coronavirus. He doesn't have to automatically assume he has it. He's not a medical professional. Neither is anybody else retweeting YouTube videos. So it's like, I'm not going to blame him for being around people. I'm going to blame the event for hosting an area where people can be around. I thought that they had some super pro procedure where no one was going to have contact with each other, and had a 30-page document. If the 30-page document included people being able to hang out like that, and that's, I think, what we should criticize first. Yeah, so that's my... Blame the people that set the infrastructure up more than the people inside the infrastructure. So, that was kind of corny, whoever that media member was. Should I get into it now? No, let's talk about the fights. it's probably like 14 minutes in. You probably came in to see some reviews of the fights, and you're like, wow, like this guy hasn't talked anything about fights. So Ryan Spann versus Sam Alvey happened. That fight was mad boring. Sam Alvey's just one of them dudes that it's just hard to beat and mad boring. And smiles a lot. And then Ryan Spann was just gassing out, trying to do takedowns that just weren't happening. Gassing out. I think he actually burned his arms doing that choke in the first round. Like he thought he had it, and he would. And I mean, he did. I mean, Sam Alvey's face was purple, but he didn't get it. You know. And I think he burned his arms out because that takes a lot of work and effort. One of the wildest fights was Bryce Mitchell, who I have some interesting feelings about. I think people like him. I don't necessarily like his comments and really that much about him, but you know, it's not up to me to like people or not. I just watch the fights, I guess, and he's definitely had one of the most amazing grappling matches I've ever seen in MMA. That was incredible. Like, it was amazing the stamina this guy has to keep attempting getting into twister positions, trying to get, because you know he's not the first fighter to ever get a twister done. He was trying to get a twister submission. The first one ever was Korean Zombie, had the twister. Bryce Mitchell was the second. He was trying to say that he was going to be the second and third because he can't be the first. He definitely was trying to get that third one in there, and I can respect that. I can definitely respect that. He was going for him. Charles Rosa was definitely just, he didn't even fight really. Charles Rosa was just in survival mode. It was like someone put him in a room with a boa constrictor, and it was like, not like, can you kill it? It was like, how long can you survive with a boa constrictor in a room? That's what it seemed like to me. Definitely 10-8s. Like, there's just no, it was a human, it was like a grappler against a human being. Like, if you didn't have any skills, you're just going to survive. And I'm not even trying to disrespect Charles Rosa. Like, he's a great grappler, strong on the ground. It was going to be a good exchange, but Bryce Mitchell's like game made like completely nullified Charles Rosa, and it was incredible. So he got the victory, and then after begging for weeks, he's going to get those camouflage Reebok shorts he's wanted so bad, and Dana White said, I got you, I guess. So can't wait to see that. Uriah Hall, obviously, versus Ronaldo Jacare Souza was canceled. But the next fight was Vicente Luque, fellow Brazilian, versus Nico Price. You know, as a Brazilian, I like to look where these Brazilians are from, and I like to see where they stand at politically. Because as of right now, like, if you're a UFC fighter, all I've seen is you're a big Bolsonaro fan, so I just automatically don't cheer for you at all. And I didn't look up Vicente Luque, but he's a lot of fun to watch. That was an incredible fight. Nico Price, I think I said in the last MMA Ceez was that Nico Price has like those long limbs. Even though apparently on paper they had the same wingspan, it just didn't feel like that. It feels like Nico Price is more lengthy. Maybe he had more like leg span or something like that. Is that a thing? Or like, he's just so long. He has such a small torso that he fights awkward. Like, Vicente Luque is so technical. So it's like technique versus like awkwardness. And we all know, like, people that are more awkward, they tend to get in like good situations. They can create like disaster. They enjoy like chaos, because someone that's in technique will always rely on proper form. But sometimes there's situations where proper form isn't going to be the best for you. Sometimes you got to be creative, and that's where awkward people like and awkward fighters kind of thrive in, because that like being creative is like part of that. So it was a banger of a fight. I mean, they were just throwing at each other. But Nico Price had a sensational takedown. Vicente Luque got back on his feet, but at the end, Vicente Luque hit him with the left that messed that right eye up so bad, and he knew that right eye was messed up, and the ref came over to look at it, saw that his eye was cut and also completely shut, had to end the fight. Like, when your eye is like just literally shut from swelling, you cannot fight no more. So Vicente Luque won on KO/TKO in the third round. Yeah, amazing fight. Carlos Esparza versus Michelle Waterson. I mean, I guess when I watched the fight, I thought Michelle Waterson won, but especially round two. But I guess the judges felt that Michelle Waterson won. I mean, it even felt like the corner for Carla Esparza didn't think she won. So, but neither women really like went for it. I didn't see a Michelle Waterson that was like thugging all the way. I like Michelle Waterson a lot as a fighter. She's good at. She has a great stand-up game, good wrestling too, especially wrestling defense. I saw that a couple times. She's good at like sprawling and getting back on her feet. Good defensive guard, all that. But Carla Esparza got the win. I think Carla Esparza is like, she was strawweight queen but the sport's developed so much since then. The strawweight is like a banging division. Like, I mean, it is stacked. It's stacked to these women, like all the way to these women. It's just above them are just murderers row of super talented women. Michelle Waterson, I think that she's a lot better than Carla Esparza, and these are interesting conditions, so I don't like to be too hard on fighters right now. So I think in a rematch, if they're to fight 5 times for 7 times, if it was a 7-game series or 7-fight series, Michelle Waterson wins, 4-1. So that's how much better I think Michelle Waterson is than Carla Esparza. I did not watch Alexei Oleinik versus Fabricio Verdum. I don't know where he stands either politically, so I got to find out. But apparently Alexei won by decision. Yeah, I didn't really care to watch that. I don't really want to watch that. It's supposed to be a great grappler showdown. These are 2 top tier wrestling, grappling, and jiu-jitsu. But it was one of those things. If I miss it, if there was one fight, it's funny because that's the one fight I didn't watch tonight, and it was the one fight that was kind of boring to her. So cool. The next fight was Donald Cerrone versus Anthony Pettis. I definitely remember picking Anthony Pettis for this. Donald Cowboy Cerrone. They had a banger fight. This would have been a fight that, if it was in the crowd, if the crowd was there, it would have been super lit. They were throwing down, like just throwing heaters at each other. Anthony Pettis getting super creative with a lot of moves. Donald Cerrone just being his usual stiff self. And I think that Josh Thompson made a good point on the Weighing In podcast that Donald Cerrone, he's known for his amazing grappling that people see outside of what he does in fights, because he'll get the first exchange in grappling, like he had Anthony Pettis' leg, or he brought him to the ground. But it's like they think that his nervousness, he talks about the anxiety he has when he fights and how nervous he feels, and compared to like when he's training. Like he got Anthony Pettis down a couple times, but he didn't do anything. He didn't ground and pound him. He didn't get damage in there. He didn't try to go for any submission attempts. So it's like, what's the point in bringing somebody to the ground if you're not going to do anything when you're there? And I think a lot of judges are looking at that. So I agree with the Anthony Pettis decision in that sense. And Anthony Pettis was definitely, I poked him, but that shit happens. So it's all good. So that was the end of the preliminary card. Then we got into the main event, which was, oops, I messed up. This is when the fireworks started for me. The first fight of the night was Greg Hardy versus the young Cabo Verde, Cape Verdean Jorgen de Castro, who came out with the Cape Verde flag and then the Portugal flag. Wild, very weird fight. It looked like in the beginning Jorgen de Castro was for sure gonna win the fight. I mean, it was a classic where you see Greg Hardy is definitely an athlete, a very, very high level athlete for his size compared to any MMA fighter, but very just like raw still. And Jorgen de Castro is a seasoned veteran in terms of like he's had many fights. He knows what he's doing in comparison to someone like Greg Hardy, even though they have similar numbers of fights. Jorgen de Castro definitely, you can tell he's someone that's been doing this sport for a long time, or a sport like it, like a Muay Thai or kickboxing. I don't really know his background, I'm not gonna pretend to, but Jorgen de Castro was dismantling Greg Hardy on some leg kicks. It was brutal, and when he would leg kick, he was throwing the sauce in them. So you can just leg kick somebody normal, but like Jorgen de Castro was throwing his whole hip and body into these leg kicks, and that's a 250-pound man shin kicking your leg. Greg Hardy's left leg was insane. It was so bruised. It was crazy. But then Well, it's funny because Greg Hardy was checking in these kicks. You know, checking a kick is obviously moving your leg over to block. So, you know, if someone kicks you on the side of the leg with a shin, it hurts them more than you. But if you move your shin or leg over or knee to block it and they making contact, that's when you can really hurt somebody because you can change the angle and then the foot can land or the toes, and that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. Yorgan de Castro did a leg kick, and Hardy kind of impromptu checked it ish. I guess I don't really know. I guess he claims he checked. Yeah, he checked it, or he missed a little bit, and you could tell that something happened with Yorgan because either his ankle snapped or he broke a toe or broke his foot or something. Because after that, he just sat on it. You know, he couldn't move. He did a couple exchanges, but he had the most poker face of all time. And afterwards, his corner was screaming at him, "Go, go, go!" And that's what thing is weird also about like the no audience. You can hear the whole corner. His corner, because apparently he fights out of Boston. There's a lot of Cape Verdeans in Boston. His corner was screaming at him in that Boston accent, which I do not like, over and over. Go get him! 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 It was insane. But yeah, so Jorgen lost because Greg Hardy was still a little bit more active, even with the bruised up leg. He was a little bit more active. He was trying to still get off. He was just doing more than Jorgen was. Jorgen just sat there, and I think he was in so much pain, and he was not going to throw a flag in there or give up. They just wanted to ride it out to the end. So it's a shame because I think if Jorgen didn't mess his foot up, he would have definitely obliterated Greg Hardy. Greg Hardy gets another win, 6-2 in the UFC. I'm not 6-2 in the UFC, but that's another win in the UFC. So what can I say? This man is just still in here. I think he still has a lot of work to do, and I think he's very disciplined and enjoys what he's doing. But why not? I mean, he's just fighting. I swear, like it's not like I'm upset that he's getting some like job he doesn't deserve. He wants to be a fighter. Go ahead. Literally the worst time ever in history to sneeze is on a show. So that was great. Okay. This is when it started getting yearnt. We had Jeremy Stephens versus Calvin Qatar. I don't really know how to say his name. For some reason, my allergies are kicking in right now. Because, oh my god. Worst time in history to get allergies. Literally right now when I'm getting close to the end, of course. Allergies are going off the chain right now. So we have Jeremy Stephens versus Calvin Kattar. I do not like Jeremy Stephens at all. He's goofy. But he's a legend in sport. He's beaten up people for a long time. He's gotten beat up a few times. Calvin Kattar, like I said, I don't think I've ever really watched him a couple times. I feel like I picked Jeremy Stephens to win. And I also picked Jorgen to win. Jorgen's foot messed that up for me. Oh my god, I'm dying, guys. I'm so sorry. I'm like literally dying here. I should have definitely took allergy meds before this. Calvin and Jeremy are going at it. Jeremy was like wild. First of all, Jeremy Stephens came into this fight 5 pounds. I think 5.5 pounds overweight, right? Just like, and Calvin made a gangster ass remark at the end. Like, I don't really like the dude. He said, like, I don't really like the guy because he came in 5 pounds overweight and he was the first person on the scale. So, unless something was going on with him physically or medically, if you're the first person to go weigh in and you're 5 pounds over, like, did you just give up or something wrong? Like, what's really going on here? Because you still have another 2 hours to try to make the weight. So that was kind of goofy. And he gave up 30% of his purse, which is even better for Calvin now because Calvin ended up winning the fight in round 2, TKO. They were having some amazing exchanges. Jeremy Stevens was going in there, but Calvin has true boxing, was doing some true boxing, excellent technique and form, and he obviously didn't get to finish with boxing. He came over with this incredible elbow just right in there, right onto Jeremy Stevens. Like, it was like coming down onto Jeremy Stevens' like chin, and just, he was donezo. Fell down, knocked the hell out. He wasn't there for a second. It was filthy. It was a filthy knockout. Incredible win by Calvin. People were, I was thinking about this afterwards too. I think a great matchup for Calvin would be like Calvin versus Kareem Zombie. Ooh, please give me that fight. That'd be a banger, especially with those two having like great boxing. That'd be so much fun to watch, and they're both very like. Calvin is a little more counter-strikey, and that's perfect because Kareem is like push the pace. Kareem Zombie's a push the pace guy. I love it. My nose is I want to chop my nose off. Francis Ngannou fought Jairzinho Rozenstruik, or Strike, or whatever he wants to call himself. Best nickname ever, Biggie Boy. So Francis the Predator fought Biggie Boy. I definitely called Francis winning this, and for sure, I mean, what's crazy about this fight is Francis is out here, obviously the most played fighter of all time. He is just like another tier, another level. He deserves to be. Ben got a UFC title fight. He's had some contract issues and some discussions with Dana. You could tell that he's such a nice guy, like literally a sweetheart and a gentleman. Flies to Africa all the time to see his family in Cameroon. So soft spoken and kind, and all the media and stuff I've seen him do. And you can just tell someone's demeanor also by what kind of things they say. So even though there was some issues that Dana White had like ripped his name a few times, especially back when he lost Stipe, talking about things went to his head. I mean, what are you talking about? You hyped this dude up, and he used to be homeless in France, and you made this guy seem like he was a god. What did you think was going to happen to somebody you give the world to? Like, they just automatically know what to do with it? Like, no, there's a learning process for everybody who receives accolades and money in life that didn't have that before, especially someone that used to work on a salt mine as a kid. Like, dude, like, this guy has been through everything, so it's kind of super disgusting to have that approach towards someone. But 20 seconds into the fight, Francis Ngannou dismantled Jairzinho. You could tell Francis was like just kind of very patient, seeing what's going on, assessing it, and then I think he just saw something, was like, maybe it was like he felt a kick or a punch and was like, this doesn't hurt me. I think that's literally what happened. I think that he felt a punch or a kick from Jairzinho and was like, this guy has no power. Like, this doesn't hurt. So he blitzed him, just started swinging, and both of his big swings was like a big uppercut, a big like right hook missed, a big uppercut like missed, and then, or like one of those things, but then last minute, like he, like, I think it was a left right, and then the last second, like a left hook hit Jairzinho right here and just flatlined him. It was over and dropped immediately, and it was crazy because Ngannou's swinging wildly, right? Jairzinho is like, you could tell he's a seasoned 70-fight kickboxer. He like hits him with like a nice clean kick and then like a nice punch, and they just do nothing to Ngannou. Ngannou just eats that shit, just going forward, knocks him the hell out. Incredible knockout. Francis is filthy, way over deserved. I don't know why the hell okay. This is the issue too I have. I get it. Like, Stipe says he's a firefighter. You know, he's a first responder. He's reporting to his duties. This is the thing, though. You're making interim fights off of different reasons, right? Why don't you make this one an interim heavyweight? If DC is only going to fight Stipe, and Stipe said he's being a first responder right now, he can't fight in UFC. Hello, interim. So just make this an interim title. Then we can resume where we're going. Then whenever one of them's available, and Gato can go over there and beat the hell out of them, and we can have just unify the titles. Just make this an interim. You have no problem making the main event Tony Ferguson versus Justin Gaethje interim title because Khabib got stuck in Russia due to the pandemic, but you can't make this one an interim. And I feel like, and definitely Khabib fought more recently than Stipe. So what, like, the UFC is so goofy. I can't deal with it sometimes. They just really don't want to pay people sometimes. It's really, because if Francis Ngannou got an interim title, he would get a champion's clause and get champion pay. That's probably what happens. Like, Dana's like, I don't want to pay him like that much yet. So even though he's giving highlight reel knockouts, I don't want to pay him. Henry Cejudo. So anyways, yeah, Francis won that fight. Francis even made like a minor comment saying like, we'll see what happens in my contract. Like, it seems like Francis would weave me down to like leave if it is what it is, and I can respect that. I think that the first thing you need to do as a fighter is value yourself over anything, because you are your own brand, you are your own individual, you're an independent contractor, so you need to value yourself and what you do. Go ahead and get that money, dog. Henry Cejudo versus Dominic Cruz. I picked this fight for Henry to win. From the beginning, I think that with Dominic Cruz is very cute. You know, it's helped him for many years. I mean, he's 22-3 for a reason. One of the greatest bantamweights of all time. I mean, this guy used to fight in WEC. I didn't even watch WEC. That shit was such a long time ago. He's been fighting since. And Smoogie MMA had some funny ass memes about all this. But Henry Cejudo, it was funny because like there was a lot of reading going on. Henry Cejudo was way faster, more powerful than Dominic Cruz. So like there was exchanges where you see like Henry doing it and like he had a game plan, but like, you know, they had a couple exchanges where they came head to head, and then there was another exchange that happened where Henry Cejudo's big ass head hit heads with Dominic Cruz, and it cut open Henry and blood. And it was funny. I was watching it that happened, and I was like, "Yo, Henry's about to like pop off right now. Like, he's probably thinking to himself, I need to go and get this done now before this gets messy, because a head wound is just gonna bleed. It's just gonna be a mess, and it's gonna go into his eye. It's not here, and it's bleeding to his cheek. It's going above, so it can drip to his eye. So he's like, I gotta go and get this, and that's what he did. He started just firing off. Was like, fuck this patience. Blasted Dominic Cruz with a knee, and then I think the most gangster hit for me was when Dominic Cruz was going down. Henry Cejudo, like true, I mean, he's Olympic gold medalist. He's a true athlete. Runs and does like a Superman jump punch, like towards, like he like jump punches him, and like it lands super clean on Dominic. Dominic started getting to hell, probably 11 punches. He was getting up. He was starting to get up at the point that the ref came in to stop the fight. Look, man, I'm gonna keep it real, Dominic. You got a career going on with what's it called? With commentating. You didn't want that smoke, dog. Yes, it was a little bit early of a stoppage, but you for sure don't want to. You don't want to end up like Brendan Schaub with that CTE. You're a smart dude. It's all, you live in SD. You got a good life. You don't want that smoke. Henry Cejudo's a beast. And then afterwards, the big shock. At 33 years old, Henry Cejudo announces that he's gonna retire. He has a girl now, and you know he said he accomplished everything he's wanted to accomplish. He's been grinding since he was 4. I believe that, but at the same time, I don't. I don't think he really made that much money to be retiring. He claims he did. That's all gas. I mean, even Connor's still fighting, so I believe Henry made pennies compared to Connor. So I think Henry is just being disrespected by the UFC. I heard that he wanted to have a contract. He wanted to get paid more for all the work he's doing, and he wasn't, especially for a 2-division champion. He probably found out that Dillashaw was making more money than him. Good luck. The UFC doesn't like to be leveraged. Like Luke Thomas said, the UFC does not like to be leveraged. And after the fight, Dana White had made 2 comments. One saying that on Monday, after things clears up, they're going to call him again and say, hey, man, this is after things, you know, because high emotions. They're going to call him on Monday. If he's still retiring, they're going to move on without him. And he said if they move on without him, Peter Yan, my nose is killing me, dude. I'm almost there. Come on. Oh my God, Peter Yan is gonna get the main event. Is gonna get the bantamweight title fight. Um, I don't know why it's not automatically Aljo versus Peter Yan. I mean, Peter Yan beat fucking Uriah Faber. Who cares about that? Um, Aljo versus Peter Yan. Give us that fight, please, now. Yeah, bantamweight, that'd be a good one. Henderson would completely ruin the featherweight division, but the featherweights ruin themselves by Davison Figueiredo missing weight. But they're gonna have another fight, I guess, coming up. And yeah, so Henderson won via knockout in round 2. And let's move on to the main event before my nose literally explodes on camera. It's the worst allergy display in history. Tony Ferguson lost in the 5th round to Justin Gaethje. I feel like I picked Tony Ferguson. Man, was I wrong. I definitely didn't take into account a couple things. Let's just get into it. Justin Gaethje looked sensational. This is a guy who used to just be known as like a meathead, swing for the fences, like get crazy, do backflips, like live and die by the sword. But sometimes something clicked in him. I'm assuming it was those 2 losses, because when those 2 losses happened, he was having all these talks talking about, I might just fight a couple more fights and retire. Like, I'm over this. Something clicked. Something got to him. He decided to listen to his coaches and decided to pick up a shield along with having a sword. And he started being more patient, using technique, being smart. And you can see it in the fight. Like, Trevor Whitman, who's an amazing coach himself and genius, was telling him, hey, I know you're having a good time, but let's calm down. What happened last time you had fun? Justin Louis says, I got knocked out twice. In the fight, he's saying this, like, on the corner. So you can tell they have a very good relationship. They communicate well. Justin's a sensational listener. And Justin even said after the fight, you know, if they say jump, I ask. If they say jump, I ask how high. So he has that kind of trust in his coach, and it's paid off because now he ends up winning Tony Ferguson in a way I don't think anybody predicted. A lot of people were saying that it'd be Justin's fight if you get the early knockout and then Tony Ferguson grind him out. Well, folks, other than like that sweep capoeira kick that Tony Ferguson had, Justin was hurting this man, putting it on him. It was a dismantling of a century. It was so gross to watch. There was probably one of the most cringe, goosebumps, disgusting knockouts ever for me because Tony Ferguson doesn't know how to get knocked out or lose. He's interesting as a person. Different. I've said worse on other podcasts, but he took a punch from Gaethje and he was taking hooks. Like, Justin was hitting him with bombs. Like, if this was Conor in there, Conor would have been flatlined. Tony got hit, and at one point he was so bloody and destroyed. He got hit and he was stunned again, and he was shaking his head like this, like trying to clear the scrambled in his brain. That made me like sick to my stomach. I damn near threw up. Like, oh God, just thinking of it right now is horrible, horrifying. He was like clearing his head by shaking his head, trying to like clear his so he can continue fighting. Thank God Herb Dean stepped in to stop that fight. It was over. Justin Gaethje was incredible. I think Tony Ferguson looked slow. He looked tired. He looked off. And what do you think that is? Because his dumbass decided to do a weight cut on April 18th or something, because that he was contracted. The champs do that. I'm like, dude, just what are you doing? The fight got canceled. The Khabib fight is canceled. Why are you making weight? Like, to prove a point? Well, guess what? The point. What happens to that point when now the interim fight happens and you lose? What point did you make? Because you were on a 12-fight win streak. Your legacy is incredible. Now everything has been thrown out the window. The potential Khabib fight for a 6th time that we're trying to match this fight up is gone. The Justin Gaethje loss, now that's gone. Like, you got to start over. The best you can probably do is fight Conor right now. He probably don't want to fight you because he's scared. But dude, like, that was so. There was that was like when like crazy finally caught up to him. Like, being like, people love him for being wild and like goofy and different and crazy. Well, that caught up to him because he paid the price, because he did a crazy weight cut for no fight just to prove a point, and then he had a weight cut again 3 weeks later. I don't care what you say. Dehydrating yourself that much within a month, 2 times, that can't be good for you. And it wasn't good for you because I don't think that was the same dude. But then none of that takes away from how amazing Justin Gaethje looked. Justin Gaethje looked sensational. He seems like a nice dude. Happy for him. I want to see that Khabib fight because as good as Justin Gaethje's boxing was, Tony Ferguson didn't even try to wrestle Justin Gaethje. Khabib will. Justin Gaethje's a accredited wrestler, but he's taken zero. He's literally a finalist, like an All-American wrestler. Think about this. He's an All-American wrestler in the UFC in 7 fights. 0 takedowns. 0. He's taken 0 attempts at takedowns in the UFC. And he's a wrestler. Crazy. I want to see what happens when that grind starts happening against Khabib. That'll be a fight. I literally cannot wait to watch. I want to see Tony versus Conor. Because I think after that, then we'll, Tony's 36. Let's just do that now. But Conor's probably going to fight some schmuck that no one cares about, and the media's going to love him anyways. Before we end this, because I wanted to end this right now, but I totally forgot to talk about it. Apparently, there's some reports saying that from Bloody Elbow and ESPN, Mark Romani, one of my favorite reporters. Wow, guys, I really hit my nose, by the way. I don't know if I told you. Yeah, so here's a report saying the waiver allows UFC to revoke purses if fighters criticize COVID-19 protocol. Head of Showtime, Steven Espinosa, said that there was a document that fighters had decided that they can lose their whole purse and bonuses if they say anything negative about COVID protocols. That's the most dictator joint I've ever heard in my life. MMA fans wanted to come in and defend this because they just like to be evil, I'm assuming, or just like enjoy they enjoy dictatorship. They think it's fun. But the wild thing about it was already wild that the fighters had that. That was wild to me. Like, that's wild, right? That's wild. But what do we know? These UFC fighters already get treated like shit anyways. Like, that was, like, not surprising to me. Like, they get treated terribly. They're at the bottom end of, like, negotiation tactics. They're being basically, like, forced, like Jacare, into signing things because they just want to feed their families and pay a mortgage. Which is crazy for a professional athlete to be thinking. It's not like he lives in a mansion. This is Jacare Souza. Like, this dude can go, like, whatever. The worst for me was this more details by Bloody Elbow, which is incredible reporting by Bloody Elbow. Terrible name. UFC 249 waiver reportedly includes fighter, staff, and media. Ensures they can't sue if they contract COVID-19. And Luke Thomas said that there was also even a report saying that there was the media that was in attendance had to sign waivers saying they couldn't criticize the protocols. What? So let me get this straight. You're a journalist and you had to sign a waiver saying that you can't be a journalist. You're a journalist and you had to sign a waiver saying you can't look at things objectively. You're a reporter, but you weren't allowed to report. Bonkers. That's insane. That's disgusting. I'm floored by that. I think that in life, you want to at least have a certain amount of values. If that's real, that's horrifying. Because it's like, dude, like, you can't be a news source if you're not allowed to report the news or, like, be critical. Because everything isn't sunshines and rainbows. Like, Jacare Souza tested positive for COVID-19, so did his cornerman. Clearly, they're using the spin angle of, like, oh, the system works because we tested him and he was positive. That's not what a system's meant to do. You shouldn't even have to put the system in place. Like, I just don't want to get into this because it's just too much to handle, and my nose is going to explode. But just know that if we're ever getting into a situation where the media is controlled by the sport, the media is owned by the sport, which is UFC. Like, if the UFC owns the media literally, then why are we watching or reading or listening to media? Like, they shouldn't exist. They shouldn't be credentials. They can't be counted for journalists. Like, that's the most stronghold dictator thing I've ever heard in my life for a sport. That's insane. And I watch a ton of soccer, and I talk about it on We Made It Podcast, best soccer podcast in the world. WeMadePodcast.com. Please check that out. That I watch the most corrupt sport of all time. This is more intense than that to me because it's like you're even controlling what they're allowed to say. Yo, we can't do that. So that was horrifying to read. Yeah. But I watched the event. I didn't hate it. It as a sport, as entertainment, it was sensational. As policy, procedure, and safety, probably mediocre, below mediocre at best. Strong-armed. Dictator, it was rough. But another event on Wednesday. I will not be doing a review on that. Or Friday, but I'll be back next week. I hope. Maybe I'll do some in the week, but I'm trying to keep this going every week. Anyways, that was me, your boy MMA Ceez. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Please check out WeMadeItPodcast.com to listen to our episodes. Dropping episodes every week. Go to the We Made It Podcast Instagram to see our constant every week or every other week or so. We're going to be doing these DJ battles. Last time we just had a battle between Kid Cudi and Future. Obviously, I did Kid Cudi, and obviously I won. Maybe not obviously, but obviously I did win. We have more fun stuff on the way. Hope you guys enjoy that. Check out my boy Mufasa Taquitos on Twitch. He's incredible. That boy Surge, that girl Jay, and me. I'm on Twitch. We Made It Ceez. Drop in, say what's up. Hope you guys enjoyed everything. If you disagree, leave a comment. If you like it, leave a comment. Like, subscribe, and enjoy. Peace. Stay safe also.